Good morning, students. I'm Ms. Phillips, and we're going to cover synthesizing knowledge and making connections today. For this lesson, you will need your reading journal, a sharpened pencil, and your My Book. We will be taking a comprehensive look at Module 2 selections. If you do not have these materials, go ahead and pause the video and collect your supplies and come right back to push play. Today's objectives are: I will discuss vocabulary related to synthesizing and making connections. We will evaluate and reflect on module selections. And then you will make connections and write a review of your favorite Module 2 selection. So what does synthesizing even mean? What does synthesizing knowledge mean? Synthesizing is the process through which readers bring together their schema and what you have read or they have read within the text that changes their way about thinking or understanding the topic. Synthesizing knowledge is how we make connections and gain a deeper understanding of the text. So we use our background knowledge or our schema, and then we take what we have read and it changes our way of thinking about the text. Previously, we looked at synthesizing. We looked at the synthesizing formula. This is what I know plus what I'm learning equals my new understanding. So you would say things like, at first I was thinking because, and then when I was reading, I was thinking because, and then by the end, I was thinking because. This is like when at first I know that elephants only live in Africa. However, I was reading an article and it stated that elephants live in Asia and other countries as well. So now I know that elephants live in several different countries. Take a look at this knowledge map. These are the ideas and concepts that can relate to the elements of the stories we have read. Take a moment now to pause the video and review the knowledge map and some of the terms that relate to the elements of stories. Do you think you got it? I think you might. These terms can help us connect to the text that we have read, and they relate to the elements of stories by explaining to us what types of stories we're reading and also the elements of those types of stories. There are elements such as characters and setting or events that couldn't happen in the real world whenever we're looking at fantasy and adventure. It is very imaginative and anything could happen. In realistic stories, characters, settings, and events could happen in the real world. So these are different from fantasy and adventure. So now that we have reviewed synthesizing formula and how to synthesize, and we made a few connections and reviewed the knowledge map, I want to go ahead and go over making connections. What does making connections even mean? Well, whenever we make connections, we're finding ways that the text is like things in our own life and other texts we have read. Look at this anchor chart about making connections. You can take a moment now to copy this chart into your reading journal. Welcome back. You as readers can connect to what you read to your own personal experiences, to ideas from other texts, and to society or the world around you. When you read, I want you to find ways that the text is like things in your own life and other texts possibly that you have read. Text to self connection is the way that text relates to your life. You could use a statement such as, "This text reminds me of when I went to the park with my family." Text to text connections connects the text to what you're reading and relates it to another text that you have read previously. For example, you could use a statement such as, "This is like another book I read because," such as, "When I read the story Airborne, I made a connection. This story was like another story that I have read because it had possible imaginary creatures that may have really existed." Text to world connections is the third connection I want us to discuss. Text to world connections are when you connect the text to the world around you. When making a text connection, a text to world connection statement, you may say, "This text is like something that happened in my community because," and then you would tell me why. Some of us already do this. We make connections without even realizing it. If you don't, that's okay. I want you to try to think about how you relate to the text you're reading or how the text is related to other stories that you have read. Try to do this daily and as often as you can. That way you can teach your mind to automatically make those connections. I want you to take a moment now and turn to page 80 in your My Book. This is the beginning of Module 2. All right, do you have page 80? I hope so. The title for this module is "What a Story." The quote underneath says, "They weren't true stories. They were better than that." Our essential question on page 81 to the right asks us, how does genre affect the way a story is told? Throughout this module, you have been able to gather information to help you answer this question. The selections that you have read connect to the module title, quote, and essential question. Remember, in this module, you've studied the similarities between stories, plays, and poetry. Think about these questions for a minute. What can a story capture that a poem or play can't? Why are poems usually so much shorter than stories? Would it be more challenging to base a film on a poem than on a play? Why or why not? If you could turn now to page 6, this is your table of contents. This shows the table of contents for Module 2. It shows the different selections you have read. Some of the selections are Airborne, The Secret Garden, and The Miracle of Spring. For the last text, we have The Poem That Will Not End, fun with poetic forms and voices. I want you to take a moment now and use your pencil in your reading journal. Pause this video and rate each selection you read from Module 2 based on how much you enjoyed it, learned from it, or would recommend it to others. This will be in the stars rating. So 4 stars means you loved it. 3 stars means you liked it. 2 stars would mean it's okay. And 1 star means you did not like it at all. Take a moment now to pause the lesson and rate the selections that we have read in Module 2. Welcome back. I would say that I really enjoyed many of the selections, but my favorite by far was Airborne. I would give it 4 stars. Now that you have rated your selections, I want you to write your own review of your favorite selection from Module 2. Remember to choose one of the selections from this module only. The review that you write will give you a chance to make connections to the text. Remember, when you make connections, these connections can be text to self, text to text, or text to world. If you have any questions, you can always review this video or go back and pause the video to review the Making Connections anchor chart. Have a great rest of your day.